Hello everyone and welcome to my review for Jujutsu Kaisen chapter 197. I don't feel like doing an intro today, so we're just gonna get right into the chapter. There are a few things to go over. Some minor things, some important things. The first thing, Shit. I've already messed up. This is what happens when I skip doing an intro. Mio's domain expansion slows down time. So Griever was right. His reaction is not out yet at the time of recording this, but I imagine... Well, I know he was very satisfied, but I imagine when it came to reading the chapter, he was very pleased with himself. This is not new. At the start of Hidden Inventory, Utahime and Meimei were stuck inside of a domain that made it feel like they were only in there for a few hours or something, but they'd actually been in there for like 3 days. So domains being able to alter the flow of time is not a new thing. This is just another example of it, but this was an incredibly extreme example because they were able to have over 1,000 bouts in under a minute. So, as a lot of people had noticed in the previous chapter, Daido and Kamo didn't really look that messed up since Maki had gone into the domain, and presumably it had been a while. So, we were like, doesn't really look like much time has passed. Interesting. It turns out, not really much had. So, that's just kind of a cool thing. There's a cool scene with Daido and Mio talking about how they don't really care about what type of people they are. They don't really care how other people describe them, though. They're just like, whatever. I don't give a shit about what kind of person I am. I'll let other people decide that. I just want to cut things, and I just want to sumo. So they're just gonna keep doing that. It's a cool moment. Then we get some in-detail things for Maki's power-up. The most notable thing so far is her perception. She is able to perceive things to an extent that she was not able to before. Being able to keep track of Naoya's movements is no longer necessary because she is seeing the destruction that's being caused by his movements. So she can't see him, but she can see everywhere that he's going, so she doesn't need to see him. Then she's able to notice incredibly fine details that one would not be able to notice before, such as differences in air pressure, allowing her to, as far as I can tell, grab onto the air and basically double jump. So, that's a thing. This definitely does explain why Toji was able to do some of the absolutely ridiculous movements that he was capable of doing, including running on fucking water. Yeah, that's not just him being fast. That's, I don't know, him being able to see where the water is dense or something. Obviously, these are things only someone with Toji and now Maki's physique would even be capable of pulling off, even if they noticed these sorts of incredibly minute differences. But yeah, there's an interesting monologue on Maki's part talking about her sight and how she used to rely on her glasses and now she doesn't need to anymore. This is a very interesting thing that I hadn't thought about too much. Back before her heavenly restriction was completed, Maki needed her glasses to be able to see curses. And as a result, she just relied on them entirely, never really bothered honing her other senses to allow for curse spirit detection. As far as we can tell, Daido doesn't have a heavenly restriction, so he is effectively like how Maki was prior to perfect preparation, and he's still able to figure out where Naoya is. So that was just something that Maki had never really thought to do because she had always just trusted in and relied on her own glasses. Then, after her heavenly restriction is completed, she's just like, oh, well now I can sense where curses are now, so it's not a big deal. And as a result, never really made an effort to hone her senses. And that's kind of the most notable thing to happen with Sakurajima when it comes to Maki's power after perfect preparation, is in perfect preparation, she obtained a new level of power, but she hadn't refined it yet. She hadn't really done anything with it. She didn't learn how to use it. She was just kind of given it. you're given a very powerful weapon. And it's so strong that, I mean, you could just swing it around with wild abandon, and you'll probably kill almost everything that gets in your way. But there will be some things that are just way better than you anyway, or too tricky, and you're not able to hit them. So you've got to learn how to use that weapon. You've got to master your skills with it, refine them to perfection. And that's what Maki's done now, with her new Zen state, becoming one with everything, just being mentally free. Now, she has reached that level of mastery over her own body, and now she can do that Toji level shit. Or beyond. Probably beyond. It's probably safe to assume Maki will be beyond Toji by the end of the series, because that's usually what characters like that are for. They are there to set a bar to reach and then surpass. Currently, Maki's done the reaching part. We'll see how long it takes for her to surpass him. Then we have the end of the chapter, where Naoya's gotten his ass kicked, and he gets really mad, and then he turns back into human Naoya and casts the domain expansion. I had an idea, but I don't think it really works, because I believe Gege confirmed that Sukuna was never a cursed spirit. We know that he turned himself into objects, so I suppose it doesn't really work there, but it's an interesting thing to consider that a vengeful spirit can theoretically reattain its human form, because the curse form that they take on after death is just their cursed energy going completely rampant without a person there to control it anymore, and it manifests into a curse. So perhaps, theoretically, if the consciousness within the vengeful spirit were able to become focused and, be pushed to some extent in which it could regain some semblance of the control that it used to have over its own cursed energy, it could change its shape to return to some sort of human form. Obviously, we have plenty of humanoid cursed spirits, and since they are made of cursed energy, safe to assume that some of them can alter their forms. We already know that they can undergo sort of evolution. We literally saw that in this fight, with him initially being a curse womb. We haven't really seen a curse undergo 3 different stages of development, but always gotta be a first for something. Certainly he can't really alter his shape the way Mahito can. He has a little bit of flexibility when it came to his sort of noodle limbs, but his gimmick has not been the ability to alter the shape of his body. So I do think this, in his case, is also sort of a mental thing. The mind shaping the soul, or some shit like that. The mind shapes the body. You would expect such a thing to happen with what is technically an immaterial being. Its mental state would be able to affect its form. So now it just keeps getting stronger and stronger through the power of sheer misogyny. Gotta give him credit for that, I guess. Now, we don't get a name for the domain expansion, and we don't get any visuals for it. So now we're just kind of left to theorize, what does a projection sorcery domain look like? Well, one proposal, and really the only one I can think of super well, it's effectively a giant stasis zone. Just everything has to fulfill the 24 frames per second thing, or was it 21 frames per second? Was it 21 frames? I think 21 frames per second must fulfill that rule, otherwise it's just frozen. As for the visuals, I'm not really sure. I have no idea what it could be. We know now Beto liked film and stuff, but Naoya doesn't really give a shit about movies. He hasn't even referenced them once, I think. So I'm not entirely certain what the visuals would be for him. Probably some sort of more traditional Japanese thing, because, he's a real traditional Japanese man. Now, unfortunately for the rest of you, Gege's on break next week. Well, we all have to wait 2 weeks to find out what exactly this domain is going to be. It's fortunate for me because I have to work next Friday morning, so I don't have to worry about doing a review or a reaction. Yeah! Couldn't be better timing, in all honesty. But yeah, with that, that's all for this week's review. If you enjoyed, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click that notification bell so you don't miss any of my uploads. I do Jujutsu Kaisen chapter reactions and reviews every week that we get a new chapter. If you enjoy discussing Jujutsu Kaisen with other people, or just enjoy the content I produce on this channel, I highly suggest you check out my Discord server. I have a link to that down in the description. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys around. Take care.